Yes, you can have your own franchise. This is just me, Lisa B., host of Side Hustle Saturday. I had the pleasure of interviewing Tamika Franklyn, who is the founder and CEO of Precision Franchise, which is one of the very few Black women owned franchise brokerages in the nation. Did you know that 77% of franchise business owners are white males? But Tamika is changing the game. She provides knowledge, resources, and access to people of color who are interested in becoming an entrepreneur by starting their own franchise. She has created a plan for entrepreneurs to find and secure their dreams of owning a franchise at no cost to them. Check out this interview that I had with Tamika. So, Tamika, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'm just going to jump right on into it because I'm so eager to learn more about franchises than ever. So talk to us about your entrepreneurial journey. Tell us what led you to start Precision Franchise.
Great. So this was some time ago. So many years ago, I was in the insurance industry, and I used to go to a lot of different networking events and join different chamber of commerce. And there was one particular night where there was a presentation going on, and they touched on some highlights within the franchise industry. So, one of the things that really surprised me was when I heard that well, let me take a step back. 50% of all small businesses fail within the first 5 years. This is something that we've always heard of and known. So when I heard the statistics of, franchises being having a 90% success rate, I was floored because, I used to always joke around, and I've said this many times, like, man, I really wasn't that great in math, but I think that's significant. I think that's pretty significant. So it definitely, caught my attention. And then another thing that was very surprising to me is the number of franchises that were out there, which was in the thousands, and the fact that there was a large percentage of those franchises that you can invest in for, that's under 50,000.
Yeah.
And that's, again, like, why am I not hearing about this? And, so that's kind of what made me start thinking about the fact of, well, why is this the first time that I'm hearing about it? And, so I started immersing myself in the industry a little more. And, as I did that, I started realizing that, not only was I not hearing other people talk about it, but I started realizing, well, there was no one that looked like me that was talking about this and doing this. So fast forward, I kind of just, it never left. It was always something that I was passionate about. And I always just felt that, like, okay, well, maybe I would own, or I just tell anyone that I can, as though I was already in the business.
Wow.
And, I decided that, what, one of the main reasons I think as to why it's such a low, we're so underrepresented in the industry is because, we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
It's very white male dominated, older white male dominated. It's a very old industry to the tune of over 70%. And African American only makes up 8%. So I think that the way they currently do things, they have always done it, as far as like they just purchase leads and they just speak to those who already know about it, and they're just scaling their business. So it's staying within the dominant demographics. So I thought, well, what if, I came in and, have this mission to educate, people of color and women about this business, and do it in a way where I'm not focusing on just buying leads and staying within that demographics. I'm purposely going in and educating and walking you through the process. So yeah, that is how I got involved, and I just decided to pull the trigger and create my business.
Generational, because a lot of franchises, they're handed down from one generation to the other as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, walk us through the steps that you would take your clients through when they come to you to start a franchise.
So the steps would be, well, first, let me explain exactly how it is that I help. I like to use real estate because it's something that's very, relatable. People understand that. So, such as a real estate agent, when you're ready to buy a home and you connect with that agent, you're going to tell them information that's going to help them in that search for you. They're going to show you some homes. It may be as little as 3 homes and you're ready to go. It may be 10, and they walk you through that process until it's time to move forward in the house that you selected. But you don't pay them for that process of finding you the home. They're compensated by the owners. So I work in a similar fashion where I'm not compensated for searching for these brands and helping you with the brand. I have my version of what the real estate has is MLS. I have my version of that, which is all franchises and proven business models. So I start the process by having a consultation with you, where I ask you specific questions such as, about your lifestyle, your goals, your passion. I'd like to know like your history. Are you comfortable networking and promoting yourself in networking events and things of that nature? And the reason why I ask you questions like that is because it further helps me into what type of culture you're going to need and what type of brand you're
Mhm.
going to need to be successful. Um, what's ideal, I do have a questionnaire that's on my website, and that questionnaire allows you to rate the industry. So you get to rate a particular industry from 1 to 10 on your level of interest. And this is also what I'm going to use to help to see where I should be
Mhm.
focusing. There's one more resource that I also use, which is called a business assessment. And if you've ever taken like a DISC assessment or one of those personality tests where it comes up with a profile, based on the questions that you ask, you're this type of person. So you will probably fit better here. I have something like that that's designed for business owners. For business ownership. So I would take all of that information and then be able to do my research and do my search into coming up with the several brands that I want to pull out that I want to show to you. So the next call would then consist of me going over this information with you, educating you on the different terminology that you're going to come across,
Mhm.
such as royalties and proven business models and FDDs, which is the franchise disclosure document. We're going to go over all this information. I'm also going to go over your results of the business assessment, and then I will share my screen where so that call will be a Zoom, so that I'll be able to show you the highlights of the brands and what they're about.
Mhm.
So during this call, my goal is just to find out, is there an interest? You go through this and see like, okay, which ones resonated with you. From there, we set up. That's when I will be setting up an appointment to introduce you directly to those brands directly, and I will be on the call with you. So I serve as your internal advocate. I'm there to help you with questions or anything of that nature. I have um, any information that I think would be helpful. I'm there to help you along that process. So I normally would be on those calls with you.
Mhm.
I also provide you with a resource, a document that I called Great Questions to Ask Franchisors. And that's just to help you, on the calls as well, make you feel comfortable so that you have some questions that you may not have thought of otherwise to ask.
Yeah.
And we kind of go through that process, and I have recap calls after that just to see, okay, so what we're feeling, how do you feel about the brand, can you see yourself in it, would you like to have a further call? I always suggest you want to have at least 2 calls
Yeah.
because they go in deeper on their second and third calls. Every brand has their process, but typically there'll be a presentation, or they'll let some have their validation stages before the FDD, and so things of that nature. And validations, that's just another step in the process where you're actually speaking directly to the other owners. Very important. I have a document to help you with questions with that as well. So it's very much a process. We go through these steps, where I also would provide you or link you with particular funding partners when you get to that stage. I have the franchise attorney because I do always suggest like, hey, you definitely, if you're going to have an attorney, you definitely want to have a franchise attorney.
Yeah.
And at this point, all of this, it's no cost to you. These are all free consultations, and it is really truly designed for you to make the best decision possible until we get to that stage where we're finalizing documents.
Now, if I had some franchises in mind that I did a little legwork, am I able to consult with you and say, hey, Tamika, I was looking at ABC franchise, and can you kind of help me out to see if this is the right fit for me? Do you do things like that?
Sure. I mean, I have a lot of people that may come to me that have, maybe they were thinking about a particular franchise or brand. But what I do ask is to be open, because sometimes you might be looking at a brand without any real knowledge of the brand to understand of whether or not this is something that's even going to work for you and for the goals that you have.
So, talk to me about the different franchises that are out there, because I think there's a misconception that you've got your big restaurant franchises and you've got some of your Fortune 500 franchises. But when I was talking to you earlier, there are like 4,000 different franchises that are out there. So what are some of the franchises that people can kind of like delve into?
Yeah, so what I would say is that so there's over 40 industries of franchises that you can get into. So whether it's healthcare, education, cleaning, a lot of the popular ones are the ones where they're allowing that flexibility. It's not brick and mortar. So you may want to do maybe a tutoring concept, or vending has been very popular. As well.
Yeah,
very much so, and it provides, you'll be surprised with the level of support that you get with these vending models as well.
What about CBD? Because I know that's starting to be very, very big with a lot of states opening up the marijuana industry, and I know CBD is pretty hot now. Do you have franchises that are modeled after CBD?
Yes. The funny thing is that I actually did a webinar with one of our brands. Wow. And I did on 420. Yeah. No pun intended, guys. No pun intended. So I did on 420. And it was a very interesting brand. They're more like they like to call themselves the your local grocery store, I forgot the reference, but it's not just a one, it's not what you would think. It's like they want you to think of it almost like a GNC type of thing, where they have all types of different remedies, etc., around like the kava and CBD and things of that nature. It was very informative as well. But yeah, there's a brand, there's a franchise there for it.
So, what are some of the key things that someone needs to look at before picking a franchise they want to invest in?
You want to make sure, well, one, I always say, you want to have working capital. And this is whether it's a franchise or not. Like, you want to have working capital is something that's very important. You want to also have an open mind, as we touched on earlier. You don't want to go in just with one idea and kind of not being open to listening to what else may be out there, because we might, after our consultations, you might learn to find out that it's an entirely different industry that's going to work way better for you and fit your lifestyle. So I would say definitely come with an open mind. And also, I think important enough, I think you got to ask yourself, like, are you ready? How ready are you? Because it still is going to take work. It's still, you still have to have that mindset of being an entrepreneur and ask yourself, are you ready, mentally, financially, your family, everything. Are you ready to actually embark on this new journey?
Yeah. And the great thing about being an entrepreneur on your own and then being an entrepreneur and owning a franchise is that you do have some structure. And you do have protocol and processes and controls that you have to follow for that particular franchise. So if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, but you still need that structure, a franchise is an amazing way for you to dip your toe into the entrepreneurial pond and become your own boss. So definitely this is something for you to look into if you want to take that leap and become an entrepreneur. Now, I know that with franchising, funding can be an obstacle. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm out the game, because I just don't have the money. So what are, take us through what the funding process is, and, what needs to happen for you to, what do the funds have to be? Do you have to have a 401k? What kind of liquid assets do you have to have? I know there's different things, but can you walk me through that?
Yeah, so I do have funding partners that's definitely, they're the experts, and I do leave that to them as far as to really dig deeper into what options there are out there. But I can tell you that particularly even with the brands, some of the brands have, their own process as well. They're SBA affiliated as well. They're, you have brands that provide discounts for like veterans. So you do have that available. I know that there's a lot of different things that you can do as far as maybe even with your 401k, like there's a, Robs. I just actually had a webinar with one of the funding partners that I use, and I sent it to everyone on my contact list where they were able to join and learn about some of those funding strategies, etc. So there's definitely some options out there for you to learn about and consider. I mean, I think I like to, again, I always use real estate, just like with buying a home. There's just certain things that you're going to need to put in place. You do need to say, you want to make sure that you have a decent enough credit score. There are options as far as secured lending and things of that nature as well. So there are definitely a variety of options for you.
So you touched on credit score. What if my credit score was a little sketchy? It's not 800 or 750. What is like the minimum credit score that someone can have and still get into the franchise game?
Yeah, and I think that that's something that people often think about too. Is they think that, oh, you probably have to have a 750 credit score, and actually, if you have at least a 650, then you'd be fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, so everybody out there, you heard what she said. If you get to a 650, or if you are at 650, you too can own a franchise. So with what you know now, what would you go back and tell your younger self?
Oh man, I would have started this a long time ago. I would have done this the moment I realized this was a thing. Like once that moment where I got that aha moment and I started, just immersing myself in the business, I would have actually taken it, because I would have had the same mission. My mission and and what I'm passionate about is letting more of us know, impacting communities, keeping circulating the dollars, in our communities and building wealth, etc. And I would have had that same passion. And I can only imagine if I would have started back then. I mean, again, sometimes, you can't really question things like that, because you figure, well, things happen in their own timing. So you never know why things happen the way they do. But I just think about, what could have happened, like how many people lives I could have impacted at that point, and just how far along we all would be, had I just decided to do that, at a much earlier stage.
What do you think some of the challenges we as African Americans face getting into the franchising industry?
To be honest, I think the number one thing is just that lack of knowledge, just not knowing that these opportunities are out there and that it is within your grasp. I think if we knew about these opportunities and we had people, that are out there to teach you and, and kind of walk you through that process, that we definitely can put a dent in that only 8%. It's only 8% African American. That's in this industry. So I think that's like the number one thing. I would also say that, you still want to make sure that you are preparing yourself mentally again. You want to make sure that you are saving, start on those habits now, work
Yes.
on your debt working capital and really ask yourself, am I ready to do this? Can I see myself in this business? Is a question that I always, ask over and over. Like, okay, the number one thing that you need to ask yourself when we're in that process is, can you see yourself doing this? So yeah, that's what I would say.
Is there an age cap? Like, can someone that's 18 out of high school get into a franchise? Is there, what do you think is a great age to start that?
A great age to start the franchise or to start, because I feel like you can learn about it. I mean, I'm actually so passionate about it that I even thought of trying to put something together to where I can start educating children
Mm,
on just the concept
yes.
of owning a proven business model as opposed to starting from scratch. So I think the education could be very young. 18 is great. You should know your options on anything that's going to be, for building wealth, especially franchises. As far as starting, I don't want to say that there's a minimum age. It's just again, because then I could, you could say the same thing about is 18 too young to own a home if you can, so I think I think that's how I would look at that. It's just of, do you have the mindset, do you have the capability, you know and the willpower just to go ahead and move forward and do it.
I'm going to pivot.
Okay.
What was your first side hustle?
Ah. My first side hustle was actually braiding hair.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was very young. I was a teenager, and I knew how to braid hair. So, I'm in Brooklyn. So, we used to have our stoops where we sit on our stoops and stuff. So
Oh,
I was the girl.
you was on the
Yeah,
front stoop braiding hair.
I was a stoop, and I would, the guys would come and I would braid hair and make my little $20, or, doing some corn braids or something. My specialty was I did extensions like this.
Oh,
Box
wow.
braids was my specialty, and it's crazy because like I think about it, like, man, I was doing it very cheap. Like like I would do like long extensions and it would be like $40 or something like that, and but that
You
definitely was
could
my
have
first side
millionaire now if you would have charged more money.
well, I was so young too, so that's like that was officially my first side hustle.
Yeah.
Definitely was my little change, like, yep, I could braid your hair. I could come on Saturday, come early in the morning, bring the hair, let's do it. And that was pretty much it.
All right, great hustler. Well, Tamika, it has been a pleasure for you to be a guest on my show. I so appreciate you taking the time and coming on the show and educating us, because you were telling me some things I certainly didn't know about what it takes to have a franchise. And I'm hoping that whoever watches this and sees this, that they too can gain something from this. They can reach out to you. As a matter of fact, tell us, how can somebody reach out to you on your social media channels?
Yeah, so the name of my business is Precision Franchise,
Mhm.
and I'm on Instagram as Precision Franchise. I'm also on Facebook. It's going to be Precision Franchise LLC,
Mhm.
and on LinkedIn with the same name, Precision Franchise LLC.
Okay.
I do implore you all to go onto the website because that is where I have a lot of the available resources that I touched on earlier. I actually have a free e-course as well, that's going to tell you a little bit about the industry and tell you about how, I am able a little bit more about my role, and it's completely free. Um, Along with that, the questionnaire where you're able to rate the industry of interest, and those questions, you're able to do that also on my website, and and what's more importantly is, like, I constantly have events and webinars to continue to bring the awareness and educate. And a
Mhm.
lot of times I am interviewing some of the brands, some of the franchise owners, and things of that nature. And next month is National Black Business Month, and I'm
Okay.
planning on putting something together for that. Yeah, the very first webinar I did was called Franchising While Black,
Mhm.
and so that went very well. And then I've also done one for women, and so I've done a lot of different type of webinars where I would bring people together, and so long as you are connected with me, you would get the invite. So and there's a pop-up. So as soon as you go into the website, the pop-up will come up so that you're able to register. Very seamless, name, email, and you're in. And once that does come up, then you're able to join and get that link.
Okay, that's great. Again, thank you so much, because like I said, I think what you bring to the table and your knowledge and your connections, I'm just hoping that whoever sees this, and if you're thinking about becoming a franchise owner, please reach out to Tamika. Reach out to her so she can get you started, so you can stop working for somebody and start working for yourself. And as for me, you can reach me on Instagram at sidehustle_Saturday. I'm on Facebook at Side Hustle Main Hustle, and I'm on YouTube. Link is in the bio in IG. And follow me on YouTube, because I'm going to start having exclusive content that's just going to be on YouTube. So subscribe to my channel. Tamika, again, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. And you really dropped some gems for us to learn on what it takes to become a franchise owner in the industry. Daddy always says, when you know better, you do better. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
And Side Hustle Saturday, I will talk to you soon.